Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Paranormal Q&A with Jack, Kenna, and Carly Hall, or we sometimes call her Corona Hall. So,
Oh my gosh.
well,
I
you know,
forgot about
kind of,
that.
and well, for you it might be actually the drink rather than the virus, but um, Corona beer, you know,
Oh,
we're right over her head
way
tonight,
over my
folks.
head.
We're right over her head tonight. But it's all good. It's all good. And well, first let me just ask, how's your week been, Carly?
Awesome. My week's been great.
Yeah.
It's been eventful, to say the least.
Eventful, huh?
But yeah, eventful. Yeah,
Yeah.
got a lot done.
Yeah, that's true. You only had
So
to work one day this week, too, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was supposed to be Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, but we're doing something else. So
Well, we're still heading down there. They
yeah,
just
we
had to
still are.
postpone the bash,
Yeah.
but we're still going. A lot of people are actually still heading down, so it'll be a lot of fun. And but beyond that, my week's been pretty good too, as you know. It's
That's good.
been just hanging out, getting stuff done, doing some things I had to do. But the most exciting stuff is our guests we have on tonight. Well, it turns out, I guess, Scott's kind of busy. He has some extra work he has to do, but he can't make it. But Deidre is here, and I will let you, Carly, of course, as always, announce our guests for tonight. So go ahead and give us their information, their bio.
All right. So this is their bio. As with all things, if they progress as they should, they grow and become better. They evolve. Well, SGP did just that. Scott and Deidre started actively exploring and researching the paranormal around 2009. Since then, many years and countless hours and endless nights of paranormal investigating, research, experimenting, evidence review, learning, growing, evolving, experiencing things they never dreamed they ever would, meeting people they would have never met, Gate Paranormal was established. Scott and Deidre have been researching and experiencing the paranormal since 2009, even longer if you were to ask them individually. Over the past decade, they have traveled to many of the top haunted locations across the East Coast and beyond. Scott and Deidre also host live stream investigations on paranormalwarehouse.com. One of their favorite ways to support their commitment to ParaUnity is to host public and private events, teach classes, they are public speakers on the paranormal and volunteer at many haunted locations, both to help with their restoration as well as host paranormal investigations and historical tours. It's not just about old abandoned buildings, it's also about those who are troubled by paranormal experiences. From children to adults, so many of us experience the paranormal. SGP will also help those in need by offering their time to families who are experiencing the paranormal. Most recently, you can catch Deidre and Scott on the Travel Channel's Destination Fear episode, spotlighting the Statler Hotel in Buffalo, New York. If you ask them to describe themselves, they simply say, a married couple who open opportunities for spirit, research, and explore in order to communicate with spirit and help others. Deidre Para SGP is also an intuitive psychic medium and oracle card reader and Reiki master. And Scott Para SGP is also a Reiki practitioner.
And
And
without,
that is it.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, they get
Yeah.
they get more credentials than I think the president has. Anyway. And you got more than I got, I think. Anyway, all right. Well, here's our guest for tonight and our good friend, Deidre. Let's bring her on. She'll be on in 3, 2, 1. There she is. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I forgot. Oh, wait, hey, I got to unmute. I did this again. You got muted, and I have to unmute you. There you go. Now you can talk.
Hi, hello everyone. How are you?
I'm going to start making that part of my regular thing for all my guests. I'm going to mute them to begin with.
Mute them.
Yes. Don't let them talk.
Right.
Go ahead, Deidre. I interrupted you there. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Carly. I didn't think I just gave you as much information as I could share. I didn't know you were gonna use it all, but that's beautiful.
No,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's
oh
a great
gosh.
bio. I love it.
No.
Actually, you should see when they use mine. And it goes, and I give them the long one.
On and on.
Pick what you want, and they just read it. It's like, all right, I got to stop them. It's like, stop, just stop. The show will be over before you finish. You know?
Exactly, right? But
that's why I've come up with this one short paragraph I give them now, and that's it. It's like,
exactly.
It's funny. But you guys have done a lot. You and Scott. I mean, you've been at it since actually as long as our Team Spirits in New England has, since 2009. So, yeah, that's a long time.
And I think there's like common times that you'll find among paranormal investigators with longevity. You know, some started like, you know, the Joe Pierres and Tim Shaws, they started 1,000,000 years ago.
Right.
Then, you know, then there's the other generation that started right around the same time that we did. And then now there's a whole new generation, which is fantastic because it's they have all new technology and they have all new perspectives. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's what it's about, you know, sharing those perspectives and looking at things in different ways and moving forward, because you got to move forward. If you don't move forward, you know, if you don't try new things or test new things, then you're never going to get anywhere. You know, you're never going to advance the field. That's for sure.
And we're guilty of that too, is getting stuck in a rut and you know, kind of over and over doing the same things over and over. And so when we just, you know, kind of shake our head for a minute, like, wait a minute, you know, let's try something new, and you start that experimenting again and researching and going back to your roots and listening to other investigators like, hey, let's try this. I'm like, wow, I never even thought of that. Let's do that. So it keeps it alive and exciting.
Yeah, that's one thing I have always tried to do, especially with our team, was just keep them thinking. I mean, I'm not, you know, Ellen McNeil is the founder of our Team Spirits in New England, but I was the one who just tried to always keep them thinking, try something different, ask questions in a different way, ask a different type of question. You know, what's something else we can try that's maybe not even mechanical related as far as equipment, stuff like that. Getting back to some of the old school stuff, you know, divining rods, things like that, and other techniques, and just keep it flowing. And then they start coming up with ideas of their own. It's like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's try that. You know, sometimes they come up with ideas that I go, hey, but you know what? I say that to myself, but I'm like, you know what? No, let's try it.
Let's try it.
I don't know. I'm going to take one moment and just say hi to all our friends out there. Angela, Bob Burnell, Keith Deniston, Bob Maloney, Bob Burnell. I said Bob Burnell. Barry Martz, see you all out there tonight. Keith Bailey is here. I see our friend Keith is on. Chelsea, Marilyn. If I don't usually say your last name, it's probably because I can't pronounce it right. So
Deniston's there. Yeah.
They're good friends. Yeah, Deniston, I can pronounce that one. And Jason Aiello, I see he's on there. It's always good to have our friends, and this is what this show is like. We were talking about before the show. It's about them. It's about answering their questions and introducing them to new people. Like,
and that's true too.
Some of them don't know you. Some of them do know you, but it's always good to spread stuff out there, because we get a lot more viewers than what you just see in there. So not everybody comes into the chat.
No, and that's fine. No, I'm the same way. But it's cool because I was thinking before we were coming on air that Scott and I we don't get much time to really kind of sit and do this para chat, you know, and just answer questions and really kind of just hang out with everyone. And you offer this opportunity, you and Carly. So thank you so much, because
you're welcome. You're welcome. That's what I wanted to do, because I saw it as a way. So everybody, we are back, and sorry for the few problems there. Hopefully, let us know if you can hear us now, and we should be good to go. It may have been the other thing. So I'm going to bring Deidre back, and then hopefully we've got everybody back. There's Deidre.
Here we are.
Oh, you're on.
Now it's a party.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look at that microphone. You got a fancy one.
Oh.
It's all right. We can see it. I like it. It's good. That's tech. We're looking at tech right there.
Yeah, right.
So I can't see or hear her.
You can't? Why can't you?
No.
Oh my!
She's on the live stream, but I can't see her, hear her. So unless you want to be the translator, I guess.
No, I won't be the translator. Goodbye,
Okay.
Carly. I'm going to bring you back. We have technical problems. I got to really switch programs around or something, I think.
This is all part of, I'm telling you,
I
and this is all part of it. This is live, and this happens on investigations also. So
know. It does, doesn't it?
it's part of it.
It is craziness. Yeah, it happens occasionally. It doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it happens. So I just got to give Carly the link again. Oh, okay. You can hear us and see us now. All right, I'm bringing it back. We'll get this sorted. There we go.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully now everybody can see us and hear us again. Can you hear us, Carly?
I can hear us. I can hear us. I'm looking for the comments.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen any just yet.
Yeah,
So.
they said sound's back.
Sound is back. All right, now we can really talk
Hey.
about what we were talking about. Goodness gracious. Tech issues. You gotta love computers and all this technology.
I know.
When it works. When it works.
Exactly.
So that's
So what were we
smart
talking about? We were
technology.
we were talking about sharing information.
Yeah.
That's one way to share information. We were talking about a lot of things. So but we were talking about that. Why we do this show, right? It's just to share information and bring people together, and it's all good, right? So that's what it's about. So now you guys have your own show on YouTube, right?
We do. We aren't as structured and dedicated as you are. We just kind of do, like I said, random.
Structured. That's good to know. I didn't know I was structured. Okay.
But it's more random. And like I said, we love these opportunities that we can actually just talk to people like you do and, get their perspective and get their real questions rather than just, we're normally live investigations. So it's all about the investigation and the questions that they want to ask. So we do paratripping and we just that's our podcast and it's random.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But our YouTube channel is comprised of that. It's comprised of our live investigations that we live stream. It's comprised of some evidence that we'll throw up there and just for people to comment on and, share a little bit of personal experiences and things like that.
Carly, I'm going to have to let you keep an eye on things because I'm getting nothing in the feed on the program.
Okay.
I don't know why. Must be Be Live tonight. But that's good that still even through your show you're sharing stuff, you're sharing information, and you do a lot of different investigations all over too, as well as doing private client cases, right?
Yes, absolutely. We just got off of a client case last weekend. It's our second visit to that home, and things are just changing. They're just morphing a little bit, and that spirit is spirit. So we had a different, it was kind of like peeling back the layers to what that family was experiencing.
Yeah.
And now we're on to the next level. So.
Right. Yeah, and that's how you do it, right? It's never one and done. Just go in, hopefully capture voices or something, say, oh, here's what it is. Good luck to you.
Right.
There's groups that do that because they're just not that well trained yet or advanced yet. It takes time to figure it out sometimes.
And even for the most seasoned investigator, and you both can probably attest to that, is that it's not, when you get a call from someone that needs help in their home, it's not an investigation. That is, it's a service. And, we all do this voluntarily. We don't get we don't get paid for it.
Right.
We're really out there to help people. And it's very different when you do a home investigation.
Yeah.
The purpose is different and it means a lot more. So
absolutely. I mean, you're talking about people's lives out there, people's real lives. It's not just, go in and investigate a haunted home. No, these people are hoping you can really help solve a problem for them or give them some answers or things like that. I mean, spirits and stuff has been doing it for years that way. Well, like many people, we were inspired by the original TAPS team, Ghost Hunters, and all that, and we pursued that avenue of it and really just focused on residential cases and things like that. Never did too many of the other types of case, just go and investigate in places. We did do a lot of historical sites. I mean, we did that too, but we were again asked to come in to check it out and see what's going on. So it's a little bit different type of for lack of a better word, client or person you're trying to help. It's a business rather than an individual or family, but you still take the same approach. You try to do the best you can for them, right, and give them real answers. Not
Absolutely.
Just, is it haunted or not? Sometimes that's not what it's really about.
And it is about intent, and it is about purpose, and it is about, even going into these historical buildings, it's not necessarily, when you go into a home investigation, it's really about the people that are living there and what is it, number one, what do they want? Do they just want to know? Because sometimes that's the case. Are they feeling threatened or worried or anxious about it, and they either want to just know what it is, or do they want it gone? So there's all those, and that's where we investigators, right, Carly and Jack, that we'll sit down and have that conversation with the family and say, we have to be honest. That's an honest conversation that happens because, you start investigating and you start getting personal and you start getting into the weeds with spirit and whatnot. They may not be ready for what happens. And that's where you have to instill in them that confidence and protection that you go in with. It's not a game. This is not a game. And I worry sometimes that there's investigators that kind of bite a little bit more off than they can chew because it's serious, and it's to help people.
Yeah. And especially with like negative cases, you're dealing with more like even just human spirits. You're dealing with things that are attracted to negativity, and which kind of leads into like traumatic past experiences within their childhood, and that's very deep and personal, and not a lot of people can really handle that. And you're expected to be there with them, for them, with that. It's a lot, to be able to do that. So it definitely is a whole nother level of investigation with client cases.
It's very different. It's very, and being, intuitive and empathic, you sometimes, we have to set that boundary a little bit harder, right, Jack? I mean, you'll attest to that, because you can start taking on their experiences and emotions, and then you, instead of being there to help them, you become, part of them. So it's that fine line that you walk, and they're there trusting you. They trust you. This is, like you said, Carly, it's really personal. And the things that come out, we have very in-depth interviews prior to taking on any investigation, and I'm sure you'll both agree. There's a lot of factors you have to take into consideration, and you just kind of have to decide. And there's been cases that Scott and I have said, you know what, we are not the ones for you. We will not go in just because.
Right.
And if it's a little bit out of our realm, as far as, and Carly, you mentioned that, the different types of experiences with spirit, there's some more of a negative, we know when to hand that off. We know when it's not our expertise, and then when it becomes a healing part, that's when we kind of, we're more comfortable with that portion of it, being healers. So and we know who to call. You know, we have people like Jack, like you, Lynn, like Carly, and
Right.
you know, the people that we know to call, and that's
Right.
that ParaUnity that we talk about, and that word gets overused. You're absolutely right, Jack.
Yeah. Well, some people say it just because it's I guess just something to say.
Buzzword, yeah.
Yeah, buzzword. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Buzzword, and it doesn't necessarily really mean anything to them, except it sounds good. And then there's others like yourselves and stuff that really try to make that what it really is trying to be, which is all this working together, reaching out to each other when we don't have all the answers.
Yes.
Somebody else does know. It's all good. We're still talking about a lot of good things, a lot of just, like the paranormal unity stuff and what that really means and what we're still trying to do with that. And, it's a good thing. And it's about, like we were talking about, if we get a case and we're not sure, where to go with it, we reach out to other people too. Or Carly and I recently had what ended up being an actual true demonic possession case.
Really?
They're extremely rare.
Right.
But I've been training a little bit as far as demonology goes over the past couple of years.
Okay.
Still training with someone. But because of that, I was able to recognize some of the signs and do some of the tests. And then I called in, of course, another team that we're part of who has an actual exorcist on the team. And we performed an actual exorcism. Crazy stuff. I mean, it's like TV stuff. It almost is. Minus the head spinning in the pea soup, but it's pretty much like some of what you see on TV, in the movies. I mean, these possession cases they're very rare. Again, very rare. But there's reasons why they happen, and it has to do with what happened in people's lives earlier. And that was the very first one true possession case I ever experienced. And we've dealt with deliverances. We've dealt with, people just under oppression and things like that, or just dealing with a haunting, regular haunting. We've dealt with all that, but that was the actual first true possession case that we ever experienced, and that was something. It's not for everybody, I'll tell you. It's movies and stuff can glorify things, but no, it's not like that. You have to have, I guess, a certain disposition to be able to deal with that, because there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens, and it's not only during the case but outside of the case too. So.
Right, and it's not only about that person, it's also about everybody in the room and everybody in that energy field, and how it resonates out. Like you said, it's not just during the time. And I have to commend you, Jack, that you brought up a very, very important point. Now, Scott and I are not training in demonology or possessions or any of that. That's when we know to hand it over. But the fact that you are trained and still continuing to train, you were able to recognize certain aspects of the investigation.
Yeah.
That is so important.
It is, because somebody could come across one, not even know what they're dealing with. Actually, in many demonic type cases, even ones where it's not a possession involved, people would walk away thinking there's nothing going on.
Right.
Many of these cases are very quiet. You have almost nothing happen, even while investigating. There's certain things you kind of have to do to bring it out a little bit, and you've got to be careful about how you do that. If you think there's a possibility it might be, so and you've got to be very subtle. You got to be very careful and subtle about it. It's not provoking. It's not anything like, not in that sense. You're provoking on a spiritual level, not just verbally berated. Because you know what, these things won't even respond to that anyway.
Right.
You have to know the religion of the people you're dealing with. You have to know what type of, within that religion, what they might be being oppressed by, because they're not all the same. Right. People have different perceptions of different things. Some people don't even believe in ghosts. Some religions don't believe in ghosts at all. So, and then you're running across one that somebody's dealing with one that if a religion doesn't believe in that, they don't know what to make of anything. So you got to approach these things a little bit differently and a little bit carefully. So, but when you run into this type of thing, I mean, it took us about a year before we even got to the point of doing the exorcism, and that was because we had to you have to research a lot, you have to find out a lot what's going on there. So it's multiple visits and just telephone discussions and things like that. And when you find out when you're there and the person who's experiencing the possession is not at the location, and you're doing some things like blessing parts of the home, and all of a sudden that person calls and said, "What are you doing what's going on over there?"
It's the little.
That's just one example.
It's the little things that you kind of have to.
And you know they call.
It blows your mind. It really.
Yeah. I mean, because there was somebody else, obviously another family member was in the home while we were investigating, but this other individual was not there, and they called and said, "What are you doing in the house? What's going on in that house?"
Wow.
And
wow,
that was just one small thing that could have been coincidental,
right?
Then when you meet that person and you start talking about things and you see physical changes take place,
yes,
you see responses to things you're not even thinking out loud, such as prayer, and there's a very negative response from that person to it, and you're saying it in your head. They don't know what you're saying,
right?
The person themselves.
That's interesting.
And then the person will often not even remember things that happened. Like that person didn't even remember calling the house just to say that. So, you know, it's all these, and because you have to determine in cases like that, what is it a possession case or is it just mental illness?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And part of that is part of that also is, they're being treated, which this individual was, for mental illness, but none of the medications were working, none of the treatments were working. The doctors couldn't explain it, didn't know why, and those are some of the signs. But you've got to look for all the different possible signs. So this is why it can take a year, sometimes more, before you can come and say, "Yeah, I think this is what we're really dealing with here," and we need to take the next step. And usually things will begin to, at least for the family, they'll start to ramp up as the thing will know what's you're doing and what's going on, and it may feel a little pressed for time at that point, because it knows there's help, and it may try to do things to you on the outside to discourage you, and all these things add up, and you still don't even realize it until you go in there and you start doing the actual exorcism and you see what happens. And it gets crazy. And we had actually 2 police officers there to assist. Just because they know how to handle people who are under duress, who are under issues. We also had a nurse there. There's a lot of different things you have to have. And this is we're talking about reaching out to that paranormal community, because all those individuals are in the paranormal community. So they're friends of ours and they're people we knew. And it's funny how things come together and you end up on a team that has all these different diverse people that can assist.
How the universe brings that together. And I really hope, and this is an amazing conversation, because, you know, when, you know, we give tours and we volunteer at locations, and, you know, you can, you know, people ask questions, you know, in the beginning, but, you know, especially the ones that have never investigated before, you know, it's not all like it appears on TV. And you did mention that, you know, like this can get pretty serious, and it's not a joke. This is not playing with, you know, when you go to paranormal investigate, you know, there's different levels. Do you just want to experience and hopefully see something and maybe get a little bit scared, or do you really want to experience this? And the whole other side is that people's lives and I guess personal mental stability is affected.
Right.
And it's because of people like you that go out and are training and learning to do it the right way. You know, we are so lucky that we have Tim Shaw right in our community and is a good
Yep.
friend of ours, and he
Yep.
is one of the most knowledgeable people to us. He's a mentor. You know, Joe Pierre's been doing it forever, and you know, it's people like them, it's like you guys that speak about it,
Yeah.
because it's all fun and games until, you know,
Until
somebody
somebody
breaks
gets
an eye,
possessed.
you know.
Yeah, until somebody gets possessed. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I
And
will.
Ed, I just want to bring it up because where was that question? I just put it up there. Oh, Barry March asked a good question. It says, "So,
Yeah.
what's the difference between a deliverance versus an exorcism?" Carly, you want to handle that? Or you want me to answer that?
You
Or
answer
Deidre,
that.
do you want to answer that? Well,
I'm intrigued because you mentioned this whole training,
yeah,
and I've never witnessed an exorcism. And
I know.
I got to be honest, I'm not sure. We had a certain situation at a location with our previous team that and a couple of members of another team, where it was probably the beginning stages of what you're talking about. So I'm interested in the difference, because I have a feeling it was more of a deliverance than exorcism.
Yeah, I mean, well, if a demonic type entity does get involved with somebody's life, there's different phases to that, and it can start because of just things going on in somebody's life, like they can become depressed. They could have a lot of just negative things that are happening to them just because of life. It may not always involve a Ouija board and things like that. And
Right.
sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it involves that. Sometimes when people are in a bad place, they reach out to things like that to make their lives better. Things can make their lives better, but it doesn't. Um, so when somebody is under depression, or it'll advance to oppression, they're not possessed yet. The demonic doesn't actually take physical control of their body. It doesn't push their spirit out to take possession, and that's what a possession is. They're actually, the demonic is pushing the spirit of the individual out and taking over that body. So they're in possession of it. All right, the other person's soul, whatever you want, it's a soul really, is pushed out. um, and they may be able to see what's happening and stuff. They can't do anything about it. It also, while that's happening, the demonic will also still be putting them down and berating them and making them feel awful about themselves while it's in possession of their body. Um, that's when you're dealing with requires an exorcism. And there's different types of exorcisms. There's, the Catholic rite. There's different other even the pagan have rituals for it, for taking care of possessions, things like that. But that's when somebody's truly possessed. Now you're actually dealing with a demon who's in possession of this person, and they have control. So it's gonna be very difficult to get rid of them, because they don't want to leave. Their whole purpose
Right.
is to just make that person's life miserable, stay in control of it for as long as they can, because they actually don't want to go back. They don't want to go to hell. Hell's the worst place in the world. If you ask a demon, and there is people, exorcists who have been out there that have asked them, they'll tell them that the pain you're giving me, or the pain that's being caused them through the blessings and through all this, is better than the pain of hell. So they'd rather endure that than go back to hell. And hell isn't necessarily what we all think it is. It's the absence of anything. It's complete pitch blackness, complete separation, separation from God. Okay, so it's not all the hellfire and brimstone we may think it is. It's the torture of not being connected to God or to anything, and just hearing the screams, as this one individual told us, this exorcism, when it was over. To her, what she experienced there was just that complete blackness, complete cutoff from everything and everyone, and just hearing the screams and of the tormented, and never ending. So it's not necessarily what we think it is. Yeah, which is worse, being torn apart by demons or that having nothing, no feeling, no emotion, but being just cut off completely from
Alone.
everything, and just hearing these screams of other tormented people, souls, I should say. So in a deliverance, there's different prayers actually. When you come to the Catholic faith, there's deliverance prayers. That can be done, and not an exorcism rite. Exorcism rite is completely different. So it's much more involved. There's much more to it, but deliverances can be a little bit easier. I'm not gonna say a lot easier, but a little bit easier because the demonic's not in possession of that individual. All right, you don't have to push them out of the body. You have to push them away. It's almost like, think of it as an attachment. All right,
Or like an influence.
an influence. This thing is around them.
Okay.
It's constantly influencing them, but it's not in complete control of them. Okay. All right. So there's different things you do to deal with that, with a deliverance. All right. For somebody who is under an oppression or a possession. And sometimes, and actually, they found a lot of it even begins before depression, is it begins with obsession.
Yeah.
People become obsessed with something.
It could be anything.
Or, yeah, it can be anything.
For
Yeah.
me, it was Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, actually,
I am not
went through an
ashamed to admit
8-year
that.
demonic.
It was
What?
legit. It was the yes.
Carly went through an
was in a
8-year demonic haunting. 10-year, actually.
and I was obsessed over Kung Fu Panda for like the longest time. I would watch the movies every night. I literally had like a shrine to them. I would constantly think about it all the time. Like I had plans when I grew up to move to China. Like it took over my life.
Yeah, it can be
So, like,
something
it's
as,
the most
and it could be
random things
something
in the
that
world.
it can seem like something as innocuous as that for a young teenager. Oh, they just really like the show. No, they're obsessed.
Right.
Why are they obsessed
It
with
was really
that?
bad,
What is
yeah.
it about that they're obsessed
On the plus side, I know how to use chopsticks.
Yeah, all right, she learned how to use chopsticks. Some positive came out of that.
Not many people can do.
I know I can't. I know I can't. I just stick to the fork. It's
I
a
learned it in the movies.
It's so
fork
funny.
and spoon. I stick to the fork and spoon.
So,
But
Wow.
yeah, I mean, yeah. So it can be things like that. Somebody can become obsessed with something. Could be something as innocuous, seemingly innocuous as that, or it can be something like drugs, or sex, or anything. And that's how it begins. And then because that doesn't satisfy the individual or the spiritual need of the individual, they become depressed. So now nothing you do can make you happy. You become more and more depressed. That's the next phase.
The eternal search.
Yeah, the eternal search. And then, they get a stronger hold on you and you become oppressed because now nothing can get you out of that funk. And now in your head, all of a sudden you're hearing things tell you, oh, I'm a horrible person. I'm terrible. I'm not, I'm not worthy of anything. Now that's the oppression stage. It's
and
oppressive.
then they'll affect the people around you.
It'll affect the people around you too. Yeah.
So there's a couple different things. So Jack, I have a question for you. So the interviewer becomes the interviewee, right?
Yeah.
So
thanks, Ed Broderick. I appreciate that.
So how do you feel about, for lack of a better word, when maybe demons use other humans to affect us? So they almost, work through other people to say those things to us or to put those thoughts in our heads and put us into those situations. It's almost like they're not coming to us head on. They're using other people in our lives to manipulate us.
Yeah, I mean that can happen. Or sometimes people are just people, right? I mean, sometimes it has nothing to do with
Big
something
jerks,
demonic. Or even sometimes it's not even something demonic. I mean,
Right.
human spirit can affect people that way by affecting their emotions, how they feel. If they're living with something in their home every day, they can that human spirit is projecting their their feelings, their emotions, their, all that stuff on that person, and that person starts to get confused over what's my feelings and what's
Right.
why am I suddenly feeling all this anxiety? I wasn't. I have no reason to be. Why is that happening? That can be an indication that the spirit, human spirit, is affecting you, right?
Right.
So sometimes that can carry over into, they don't realize what's going on. They don't realize what's happening, and they could come angry all of a sudden. They take it out on you, or they take it out on somebody else. In the case of demonics, they do. Yes, they when they're influencing somebody else during that whole thing we were just talking about, those different stages, that person will become more short with other people. They'll feel that they're, and this is the influence of a demonic. They'll feel that that other person is hurting them in some way, right?
Right.
Or is um, how can I say it? It makes them jealous of that other person. That how come that person is doing so well? Why isn't that me? That should be me. Some of those things can be signs of demonic influence, or
Right.
it could be just also a sign of mental illness too. I mean, that's the crux, right?
Right.
I mean, which is it? And you can't always figure that out. When you find somebody that you knew them as a good person, or they were a good person, they were doing well, they were doing good, they were always your friend. Suddenly they begin to turn on you. Why? That's the first question. Maybe ask yourself, instead of getting angry at them too, ask yourself, why are they doing this? What just recently happened in their life?
And that's interesting. Like Scott, he delves a lot, so there's that whole thing about, how does paranormal research and investigation coincide with your faith? So Scott and I have our faith, a very strong faith. And, so Scott studies the Bible quite a bit, and, he uses it in our research just to compare or to kind of challenge things. And when, there's the light and there's God and there's our divinity, and then there's the dark side and, Satan or demonic or whatever you want to call it,
Right.
And it's often referenced in books of spiritual guidance, call it the Bible, call it whatever it is to you, that says if they can't get to you, they will use the people around you. Yeah. And they will use things around you. So, and he speaks to that quite often as a reminder when we go on these cases to help people. And what you're saying is, you keep reiterating that it can mimic mental illness. It can mimic effects of medicinal,
Right.
things that you're on. So, and Carly, you can attest, who would have thought Kung Fu Panda, was a big deal.
Right.
It can be the weirdest things. It can be the strangest things.
And I have journals that I made. I made like those composition notebook like scrapbooks. We have like 2 of them off of it's all
She showed them to me before. Yeah.
Like I still have them. They're like it's so weird. Looking at it now is like I totally don't feel that way towards that, and that's the weirdest state. Like instead of the emo stage, I had the Kung Fu Panda stage.
Well, and I don't want people, we don't want people out there to think, oh my gosh, I was obsessed with Pokemon.
No.
Or I'm obsessed with it. It doesn't.
Some people you can be obsessed with something and not be demonically oppressed already. I mean, come, it's that doesn't always mean that's
disclaimer.
Yeah. There's a bunch of things that are involved with trying to figure out if a demonic is involved. What's going on? So sometimes demonics are a lot of times always trying to influence humans. That doesn't mean they are always successful. I mean, we all do things that we all, like, again, people can say you all got good and bad, and you got the yin and the yang. We're all capable of both, right? Very extreme good or extreme evil. And it's funny, you look at what's going on these days, and you look at some of us look at things and go, wow, those people they're just evil. They're crazy. They're burning things down. They're tearing the country apart. Things like that. That are not they're not protesters. I say, those people are just committing crimes and stuff. But from their perspective, they would say you're the evil one.
Mm-hmm.
They would say, you're the people causing all these problems because you won't change, right? So it's all a matter of perspective in the end. But with regards to true demonic type things, you have to figure it out. You've got to take time, work with the person, and truly try to figure out what really is going on with them. There's signs. Again, there's different signs. You have to study all this to kind of begin to learn what these signs are of somebody who's under demonic influence,
Right.
or possibly possession, or at least influence of something. Or are they just having some major problems in their life and it's really affecting their attitude towards things? Or they're off on the wrong path, and
Right.
it takes time to figure it out. Yeah, just
It does.
because you're obsessed with Kung Fu Panda does not mean you're
I know.
under
Yeah.
demonic influence.
You're going to have Disney.
Exactly.
Yeah, or with emo, or with whatever.
Right.
There was a case where it was ended up being a demonic possession case where the woman was obsessed with those little troll
dolls.
Trolls. Right.
She had them all over the place.
Those things freak me out so much.
Yeah.
I can't.
Obsessed with them. Had them everywhere. And then some things started happening, and some of them started moving on their own.
Now, Jack, can I pause for a minute? Can you?
Yeah, sure.
Can I just?
If you need to take a break, we can.
I
take
do. Just 2 seconds, and I'll be right back.
Go right ahead. Carly and I will be here.
Okay, thank you.
I'll leave your thing on. All right, so Deidre's going to take a short break, and I've had a lot of it. We've finally got everybody out there, and I just want to recognize most everybody. Ed Broderick, our good friend, thank you for being on. You've posted a lot of good things, and I'm trying to post some of that up there. And thank you for your support here and stuff tonight. We love you. And Michelle, my sister, says, hell is nothingness. That's pretty much what this woman said. And she was actually there. There's a whole story behind that case. I really can't talk too much about it. But she believed she went to hell at one point. And I just want to recognize everybody that's on here tonight. I know Dan is out there. Dan, we'll see you this weekend, my friend. Daniel Class. We will see you this weekend. Barry, I know you came back. I appreciate that. And Steve White did ask a question. Steve, I'm sorry I didn't see this sooner. We were so caught up in discussion. Does demonology consist of studying angels and demons? It does in a way. It doesn't really. Demonology, at least as far as I am with it right now, it doesn't focus too much on the angelic. It focuses on more of what's going on with the demonic and people who are possessed and different things like that. We're just answering a question out there, Deidre, in regards to somebody had a question. Does the study of demonology consist of studying angels and demons? And while it does to a point, it's really a study on how to identify demonic influence and things like that, as well as what needs to be done to help these individuals who are dealing with that. But it does also talk about different prayers that can be said, and different individuals and angels and things that can be called upon to assist. And mostly it's working within the teachings of Jesus Christ. And as far as the Catholic side of it goes, I mean, I'm Roman Catholic. That's what I'm particularly studying with regards to demonology right now. But there are other forms of demonology out there that take into account some other things. Like I said, there is a pagan version of it. I know that just because I have a friend who is a demonologist and has performed exorcisms. She's also an exorcist. And there always are two different things, actually. They're not the same. But she's a pagan. So her rituals and the things she uses to help release those things are a little bit different than the Catholic Church uses.
Her sources are different. Her sources.
The techniques used, and prayers used are different.
Right.
It's a whole different type of thing, and if you have somebody who's not Roman Catholic, you want to be able to reach out to somebody like that who has a much broader knowledge of these things. I believe Michelle Bellinger is also one of those individuals, has a broader knowledge of a lot of these things. Matter of fact, she has a huge library on all of it,
and that's
all
the
kinds
cool
of
part. You're touching on a great point. Is again, it is rare, so not every investigation or not every experience you have in your home is a demon, right?
Right.
And that, there's many layers to it, and there's many approaches to it. But the important thing is know your limits as a paranormal investigator. Training is so important, especially when you get to that level. So, like Carly, you can attest, that was your life. And the testimony to the fact that you came out of it, through it, is huge. And that's
I wouldn't have been able to do it alone.
Well, and exactly, and people, and that gets into that mental, illness that is such a hot topic these days because people are finally recognizing it. It's so convoluted, and you got to be careful because they will automatically jump, especially because of what is fed into our minds by TV. It's not always a demon. Maybe you do need to talk to somebody and kind of peel back those layers. And once you start doing that, when everything's been exhausted, I don't know if that's right, Jack, if I'm saying that right, but
yeah, for the most part. I mean,
yeah, you don't jump on everything's a demon, and you don't jump on every shadow is a spirit. Sometimes it's the doorknob. It really is.
That's right. I have very good examples, even of actual hauntings people thought were demonic. Matter of fact, it was on Paranormal Survivors season 2 that I did. That story was on there. They really thought he was being really, bothered by a truly evil demonic spirit. Because he was being hit, slapped, things knocked out of his hands, everything like that. You know what it turned out to be? A deceased friend of his trying to tell him he was screwing up his life. And the reason for all the hitting, the punching, the stuff like that, when these guys were young and out in Cape Cod, they were the tough guys. They were like the gang guys out in Cape Cod, right? They were the tough guys out there. In fact, that's how his friend ended up getting. He was murdered. He was actually. They were all out, and the guy got involved with drugs. The friend got involved with drugs, and the bunch of them were standing around. He was out talking to his dealer, and all of a sudden the dealer started punching him, and he goes down. And they're all laughing. Oh, the little guy's knocking down, blah, blah, blah. Well, it turns out he had a knuckle knife who was stabbing him in the throat.
Wow.
And he killed him. And the guy, they were in their 20s then. And that guy came through to me during part of the investigation when I was just tuning into my little abilities, if you want to call it. And I actually had a vision of this guy. And I asked the individual about it, and I said, does your friend look like this? And I described him to a T, actually, even what he was wearing the night he was murdered. And the guy's like, how did you know? I said, well, this is what came to me. And then all of a sudden, that was on a phone call after the fact. All of a sudden, more information came through, and I said, "Well, your buddy's the one doing all this to you. He's telling you you're doing something really wrong. There's something you're doing that you're not supposed to be doing, and you're not supposed to be doing it. And he's trying to tell you this, that you need to stop because you're screwing it up, and you got a wife and kids now, and you need to straighten your act out." And that's what, and he knew what I was talking about.
Wow.
Well, I didn't know what I was talking about. He knew.
Right?
He knew the message. He goes, I got to go, Jay. I can't talk to you anymore right now. It was 2 months later, or maybe 3 months later, he was talking to me again. He goes, you freaked me out that night. And he goes, there was something I was doing. He goes, when I'm out of a job, he goes, I will buy and sell things, to make money,
Mhm.
usually always legal stuff like that. Because, but I did come across a bunch of generators that I bought really cheap, and I was reselling them. They were hot.
Ah,
He goes, and after you told me that what my friend was trying to say, he goes, I took them over to the dump and threw the other. He goes, I had sold 3 of them. He goes, I threw the other 7 away. He goes, and I didn't tell you.
wow.
After that, he goes, all the activity stopped too, by the way.
There you
See,
go.
and that,
So it's
right?
being punched,
Yeah.
hit, scratched, and everything else doesn't mean it's something evil.
Exactly.
It can be something just trying to get a message to you.
Hmm. And
In
and
a way they know how.
and even like on a lighter note than that, even when we're guides at certain locations and the investigators come in, we tell them spirit can interact with you and it may seem negative, like you'll get dizzy, you'll get nauseous, you'll get affected, you'll start to feel emotions or have
Sorry about the technical problems tonight, folks. Don't know why the sound keeps cutting out on us.
So anyway, we were talking about heartfelt cases.
I know we're on a good
Yes.
subject.
I
Yeah.
know. Oh, there was one question I did want to answer from. I think Bob Maloney might have posted. Somebody posted it in regards to a question about what happens to a demonic after the exorcism. Where do they go, or are they just wiped out by it? They are not wiped out by it. They are sent back to hell, basically, where they actually can come
Wow.
back from. I mean, they can always come back, and they will try their darndest to come back. And the theory, well, at least what I'm studying demonology is, if you do exorcise a demonic, and that person who has been exorcised from it allows it back into their lives, it'll come back with 7 more worse than itself. So it's kind of like, think of it like the Hydra. You cut its head off, 2 more grow in its place, kind of
Oh
thing.
my God.
Yeah, in other words,
Friends.
once you've gotten rid, you don't want to do anything to let it back into your life, because it'll only be worse. It'll come back with 7 more. That's what's said. I haven't seen that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to experience that, because
Right?
I know how hard the first one was. I don't want to see it happen again and have to go through another one. So
Yeah.
whew, yeah, I hope not. I hope 7 more don't come in this place. So hopefully we got everybody back again. I see everybody's coming back there. What I'm worried about is I don't see anybody coming back in this
Right.
No, they are here.
thing.
We're all good.
All right, so
Very
everybody's
good.
coming back in.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
So,
yeah, this worries me. I don't know.
So we had a case with this lady who she was reported seeing like shadow figures, feeling very overwhelmed, very stressed out, hearing voices. And it was all things that she didn't really recognize. But after our investigation, it was only like one night, right? I believe so.
Yeah, I think so.
We got this EVP of this female saying, "Let me go," and it was literally just listening to it, you could feel the emotion coming off of it, and it was like
Yeah, I know what
very
you're talking about. Bob Maloney was
emotional.
there with us,
Yeah,
actually.
Bob Maloney was
Yeah.
with us, and it turned out to be the client's mother, who had passed years previous, and her daughter had not let her go yet. She was still holding on to her. And so then we were able to, help her let her mom go. And that was the most but I was like, oh my God.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was so sweet.
Yeah, and she admitted that there was some
Yeah.
things she had not let go of.
Right.
Some guilt.
With her,
and-
some guilt with her mom and
Yeah.
things like that. So she was able to. And the funny thing was, while we were there, our other team member Bob Maloney actually had a new piece of equipment he wanted to bring in. He goes, is it okay to bring this in? I said, we're not really investigating, but we're going to go over stuff. But yeah, if you want to bring it in, try it out, go ahead. Do you know, every time we talked about the mother and when her daughter started talking about her and trying to ask for ask for forgiveness or something, that device it was a millimeter is what it was, and
Okay.
the numbers would go up on it. The
Really?
numbers would go up on it. It wasn't just lighting up. The actual EMF reading was going up and down based on kind of what was seemed to be responses. Like she was interacting with her daughter.
Oh,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
that beautiful?
It's so,
I know.
I know.
Was so
Those
see
are
here
the
again.
times are like, oh.
I love
It's
happenings
not
like
always
that.
what people think it is. So the
Mhm.
haunting they may be experiencing, if it is a real haunting, is not always necessarily what they think it is, and they sometimes have to be willing to accept the fact that there's things they haven't told us about, and that they didn't want to face, so they didn't want to talk about it, and now they have to talk about it
Mhm.
because that spirit is making them talk about it.
Mhm.
And even during the investigation, it was kind of an indication there that we got talking about hearing loss. We got talking about hearing loss and things like that because the woman had some hearing loss, and I have a friend who at work who had hearing loss, and we said, "Whoa, it's the K2 started lighting up during that." And it's like, "Are you saying we're not listening to you?" And it flashed like crazy.
Oh,
We're not hearing you. We're not listening to you, and it would light up every time. Again, it made sense to the daughter wasn't listening to what the spirit of the mother was trying to tell her, and there was indications. There was things to indicate she was trying to reach out to her.
oh.
But she thought it was something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah,
so
you
convinced
too.
it was something negative. She was so
Yeah,
convinced it was
she was.
something negative.
Yeah.
See, and it was
It
something
wasn't.
completely opposite.
Yeah.
And it was kind of basically your mother saying, all those things are okay. Don't worry about it. Let it go. You know, and let those things about me go in the process. And so it was a very loving thing. Yeah. In the end, you just never know what you're going to run into.
And that's the thing, is like people go in with this preconceived notion, and it's until you do that line of questioning. It's all about communication, whether you're talking with the human being or whether you're talking with spirit or whether you're in prayer or meditation. It is all about communication, and it touches every part of the spectrum.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
Oh, yeah.
absolutely right. It's absolutely right. So you just never know what you're gonna run into or what you're gonna.
No.
So, again, you can't always assume something's evil just because you see that on TV. It's TV, people.
I know.
It's TV.
And that's interesting. We had this recent home, when we were called in to help, they had heard that somebody had died in their home, and that one of the members of the family was feeling oppressed and pressure. And yes, it is definitely the case. That person was feeling exactly what they were explaining, but they were attributing it to the story that they heard, that someone passed away in the house and it was that person.
Gotcha.
And then when we went in and we started talking, and you tune in intuitively, which you both know,
Yeah.
when you start using your equipment or whatever means that you have, you realize once we kind of validated that it wasn't the person that had passed away in the house, it changed completely. So the piece of information, like you said, that they're holding on to,
Yeah.
they thought that was harmful and hurtful, when really it was someone that loved them in their life.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that information that you kind of have to help
That's right.
that person with.
That's right. Yeah, and again, people don't always, I guess, believe what they believe what they want to believe, right? I mean, they don't always believe what the facts are showing,
Right.
or what the other evidence. You get what's the word? You get just blinder vision, right? You see only one thing.
Yep.
Yeah, tunnel vision, and you can't see past it. And no, this is what it is. I know this is what it is. Like, yeah, it may not be.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk
Yeah.
about it a little bit. Forget what you think. Let's forget what you think,
Mhm.
and let's just,
And reverse it, right, Carly? What? It was Kung Fu Panda. That's all it was to you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That was my
and
life.
maybe,
Yeah.
you know, so you can reverse it too. And that's
right,
the sensitivity of this whole thing, is that why we do what we do.
right.
We do this to help people. And yeah, it's fun to do the historical locations and interact and bring those stories to life and hopefully save a location,
Mhm.
right?
Speaking of which,
Yeah, right? Like there's so many levels to it. So,
there is, but I'm glad you brought that up because we are going to be part of your event that's
yes,
coming up the end of actually August 1st.
August 1st. We are
Um,
so excited you guys are going to be
yeah,
there.
at the Wildwood Sanitarium, right?
Yes,
Okay.
in Salamanca, New York.
Yes. Yep. Oh, I can never pronounce that word, but and I have. I'm going to pull it up because I have a copy of your little post here for it.
Hmm.
If I can find it, and just so people know
Hmm.
what's coming up, and you can tell them where to go find out more about it if you want to. Here it
Absolutely.
is, and see if I can post it up here. If it lets me. Why is this not doing that?
I can talk a little bit about it while you're doing that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Talk
Okay.
while I'm trying to pull this up.
Yep. So, what is it? It's Wildwood Sanitarium, and some of your viewers may have already investigated there or heard about it. But it is a really cool location in the fact that when it was up and running, it was kind of ahead of its time. It was more of a holistic kind of place to go for holistic healing, which we see a lot more now in our modern times. But then it took the same history and path that other locations that became a tuberculosis center and kind of more modern medicine location, and then it had a few other chapters of being apartments and had a few private owners. But this location is really active, and I know we probably say that about every location we go to, but I guess we wouldn't be going there if it wasn't active. So Wildwood Sanitarium, it's this, it's in need of our help. And this is something that Scott and I also have a passion for, and that is volunteering at locations to help save them, because we are losing so much of our history.
Right.
And I see, thank you so much for putting up the flyer there. Wildwood Sanitarium, Scott is dedicated and set to get this roof replaced, because that's where it needs to start. And then we can start helping with repairs throughout the rest of the building. So what we are starting to do, and you guys are a huge part of that, Jack and Carly,
We're
is
small. We're a small part. Small part.
not at all. We are so thrilled that you are both going to be there, and we are so grateful
Yeah.
that you're going to make time for that.
Absolutely.
It's Raise the Roof. There's going to be psychic mediums reading there, as well as other vendors. It's not a super huge event because this is in a community. So it's on Saturday, August 1st, and the actual event is going to be from 11 to 5. And then Scott and I are doing a private investigation with Gate Paranormal, just us in the asylum and or sanitarium, and that is already sold out. However, there are tickets to available that you can get pre-sale for tours. So they're $10 online or $15 at the door, where you can actually go on a historical paranormal tour with Lori and Brooke Wagatha, who are the actual owners of this location.
Good people.
And say that again?
I said they're good people. We did an event there with them last year, so.
Yes, you did, and it was an amazing event.
Yep.
So if you didn't make it to that event, come on out check out our vendors, get your reading done, and really kind of see this location. You can book your own paranormal investigation, and you know, all the proceeds that come from this event and any future investigation or event all go to the house, and to get that roof completed, and then we can start fixing the rest of the location. And let's preserve a little bit of history, especially today. Our history is being torn down, literally. And we are, you know, let's put some good energy and love and light, and I am going to say that, love and light into this
Absolutely.
world, and with good intent. So there's tons of ways to make a difference. One is come to the event and be, you know, a part of that, and get a tour and a reading, and check out the vendors. There's going to be a huge raffle. There are some really cool things. Jack, you yourself have donated. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's why we're donating our time out there and stuff too. And hey, people out there, even if you're coming, if your other investigators are out there, you want to show up, and you know who I'm talking to out there. Some of your bigger name one. Even I paid for my table to help support this. Come on out. Seriously, no, that's what it's about. I mean, you know, it's about.
That's that ParaUnity part of
It's
it.
right. It's
Yeah.
just about supporting these places and trying to help out. So if I could give a little bit that way to help keep the place in shape and put a new roof on it, I'll do that. Why not?
You're very generous. You were very generous, both of you. And
It's
we
our
can't.
paranormal community. It's our paranormal community. Why should I help? Why shouldn't we help?
Yeah, this is not about. Yeah, this is no money in anybody's pocket. This is
Right,
all
exactly.
for the house, for this location, so we can continue to learn about these spirits, and that's what it's about. You know, Lori and Brooke are not making money on this at all.
No,
You know, if anything, you know, they're investing quite a bit. So there's going to be a lot of other things coming up as well. You know, other investigations, other events that are going on, and we cannot thank you enough. So it's Saturday, it's rain or shine, Saturday, August 1st. You can also become a supporter, a Patreon, and I will share those links with Jack and Carly so that you can share those out. You can also just donate to the GoFundMe page for one-time or multiple donations. So there's lots of ways to give if you cannot make it to this location. But we
right.
will.
You don't have to give a lot either.
No, my gosh, $1, $1, and
everybody just gives a little, it adds up.
Or spread the word. If that's what you can do, spread the word.
If you really can't give anything financially, just spread the word. That's right. Just put it out there. Help share the link and stuff that I posted up here tonight. You know, and do it that way. I mean, there's lots of things we can all do. We don't have to always give financially, but there's other things we can do to help the event out and help each other out. And you know, just sharing something is good enough. You know.
Yeah. And it's not everything we do. Now, Jack, you've been to Palmyra, also a very, you know, very dear to our heart.
I love that place too. I want to go back there so bad. I want to bring my team back there just to investigate.
It's amazing.
I don't even want to do an event. I just want to go out there, rent the place, and investigate it. Maybe we'll find a couple good friends that live out there too. You know?
Yeah.
Well, just like your event. I mean, I know Dan Class isn't directly involved in this event, but I know he's supporting it.
Big supporter.
Yeah, that's how I found out about it, was from Dan. So,
yeah, it's almost like a sister location to Hinsdale, and you know, Hinsdale is Hinsdale. It's only 20 minutes away, so if anyone wants an investigation, you can do a Friday night at Hinsdale and a Saturday night at Wildwood, or however. They're very similar, you know, size locations. So
and me and a few of my friends will be out at back at the Hinsdale this November.
Excellent.
Just investigating, not event.
Sometimes it's just nice just to investigate.
Yep, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be fun. That's we picked November. It'll be a little colder, but that's okay.
It is, and that fire pit is pretty cool. And
it is, especially that time of the year.
Yeah, actually, we had an amazing event there. We had a public, and you know, Scott had the outside, and there's a lot of activity out there in the outside.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, there is.
there is.
Yes, there absolutely
See?
is. It's not just the house.
No.
And there's,
No.
and there's a reason for that, and Dan knows why, and I know why, but I will not say because I'm not supposed to.
I don't want to know. I don't wanna
I'm not
know.
saying, but there's a reason. There's a lot of activity out there, and all I tell people is go check it out.
There you
Go
go.
and check it out. It's a great little location, just as Wildwood is. Great location there too,
Thank
and
you.
a lot around it too. I mean, you have the cemetery and stuff just over the way.
Oh yeah, there's tons. So
Yeah, there's lots of things to do out there
right.
to investigate, investigation wise. But the house itself is, it's a cool place,
Very
and
cool.
yeah. But come on out to the event if you want to see me and Carly. Come on out to
Yeah.
the event. We'll be out there. We're actually, I think, coming out. We're coming out Friday night. We're going to stay in Olean there, and then
Nice.
up to you. I think that's where we're staying. Anyway,
Yeah. That's
All right.
Yep.
I gotta run. I want
All
to
right.
thank you so much for having us tonight. I'm so sorry Scott had to work extra overtime. But maybe we can all come back and he can come on instead of me.
Absolutely, we'll have you guys on again.
We would love it.
No, with you, not instead of you. With you.
He's
We
way
love
more
to have
fun
you.
than I am. He's way more fun.
No.
No.
Yeah.
You guys are
It's
awesome.
not possible.
Very good.
You're so
He's awesome.
sweet.
Sorry
So
about
thank you so much.
difficulties tonight, but thanks for coming on. We enjoyed having you.
All right, you guys take care. Thank you so
Hey,
much. See you
love it.
soon.
All right,
All right.
bye-bye.
Bye. See you
Bye
soon.
now.
Bye.
All right, so that's our good friend there, and it's going to be a great event there on August 1st. And we're getting late on our time. We had some difficulties tonight. I think we may call it in case we start to lose our audio again. I don't know what that's all about tonight. And Marilyn Denniston says outside of Hinsdale rocks. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't see you guys in my actual post thing here. It's not showing up on the feed, but I am looking at you guys now in Facebook. So we appreciate once again all of you putting up with us tonight and our technical difficulties. Hopefully, we'll have those sorted for the next time. But we greatly appreciate you. We love you all. And don't forget to come to the event August 1st. And if you are out there, and I know Dan, I don't know if Stan's still with us or Chris is still with us, but we will see you guys this weekend because I know you're going to be down in Pennsylvania. So we'll be down there too. We're all going to have a good time down there, even though it's not doing Gettysburg Bash, but we're still going to see each other and see some friends and hang out a little bit. It'll be good. It'll be good. So we'll be down there Thursday night down at the Wyndham. And if any of our friends are still showing up too, like I don't know if Bob and Carl are still coming, but if you are, we'll see you down there. It was unfortunate that the Battlefield Bash had to be postponed, but
It's the world right now.
it's the world right now. It is the way things are.
Yeah.
So, all right, but we love you all. We appreciate you all. Thanks for hanging in with us tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did not get to hear some of it because of the volume, we will be posting it up on YouTube, and all the sound should be there for that. I will be posting it up probably tomorrow on our YouTube channel, which is just Paranormal Q&A with Jack, Kenna, and Carly Hall. So I'll post the link up there, but all the sound should be on that if you want to re-listen to it and catch some of the things you didn't. Again, love you all. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week. Bye.
Bye.